Top 10 best Tom Ford fragrances for the fall. Of course, a lot of these can be worn in the winter as well. I'll see if I'm gonna curate a specific list for the winter time, but here's the thing. No Neroli Portofinos on this list. These are all on the darker, heavier, richer side of things. Some are dark and smoky and ambery, some are sweet, some have coffee. Tom Ford does make a lot of really long-lasting fragrances, just not Neroli Portofino, obviously, but I'm excited to share this list with you in just a second, so make sure to stay tuned. Now, before I begin today's episode and I tell you about these top 10 best Tom Ford fragrances for the fall and potentially the winter time, they're all unisex as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, they're all unisex. So whether you're a gentleman or a lady watching this video, I hope you take something of value from this video. But before I dive into the list, I do want to mention that if you're a fan of fragrance related content, and of course, if you love smelling your best, hit subscribe, hit the bell, and give this video a thumbs up for the YouTube algorithm. It would really mean a lot to me. Now, I also want to mention that you don't have to blind buy any of these. I never recommend or encourage blind buying. Of course, you can always purchase a sample or a decant at a place like scentsplit.com. I'm going to drop all of the information down below if you're interested in discovering any of these fragrances. This way, you can just get 5 mLs or 10 mLs, try it on your own skin, see how it works with your pH, how it interacts with your skin chemistry, and how it caters to your personal tastes, because fragrance is subjective. Just because I like something or the next person likes something doesn't mean that you're going to like it. Now, of course, the first one is Ombre Leather. Of course, we have the new Eau d'Ombre Leather, and then we also have Ombre Leather Parfum, which has that sort of an irisy thing happening in here. So that takes it in a more of a spring direction. This one is the fall and winter gem that people talk about so often. Ombre Leather is fantastic, right? This is a great leathery fragrance. It takes away that raspberry note that you're gonna find in Tuscan leather. Not as fruity. I think this one is fantastic for the fall. We also have a private blend, the first private blend on this list. For a lot of people, this is gonna be a great one for the winter as well. I can see this having flexibility. So you can wear it in the fall, you can wear it in the winter. Just you would apply a little bit more in the winter time. Not that it needs it necessarily, because this is none other than Amber Absolute. So this is one of the best incensey amber fragrances, beautiful composition by Christophe Laudermiel. I think he did an incredible job with this fragrance. The next one on this list, yet another private blend. And this one, of course, I already alluded to it earlier on in this video, Tuscan Leather. So if you like that Ombre Leather DNA, you want something with a bit more raspberry, you want something a bit fruitier, not necessarily more playful. That's not an adjective that I would use to describe it, but it adds a bit of charisma to that air of mystery that it already embodies. Tuscan Leather is a really interesting fragrance from the brand. And then, of course, we're getting into one that is a bit polarizing. And, you know, a lot of Tom Ford fragrances do have a tendency of being polarizing, but this one, for whatever reason, I think people just get so caught up in the name and they lose sleep over it. Do you like the way it smells, right? Don't worry about the name. Don't think about it. Of course, it's none other than Effing Fabulous. It is censored. When you walk into major department stores, they have the red label on it, or it's like a red box or a rectangular box over the swear word. So this fragrance is a bitter almond and leather fragrance. It has a little bit of heliotrope, if I'm remembering correctly, but it's this leathery almond fragrance. And in my opinion, it smells awesome, right? It's not my favorite Tom Ford. On any given day, I may choose another Tom Ford over this one, but this one actually does smell very good, you know, and I am a fan of it, but I've always been a fan of almond. So that's the thing. So Black Orchid, this is a beautiful sort of a truffle chocolate. I think it's Mexican chocolate, truffle, patchouli, and obviously orchid type of a fragrance. John Legend's signature scent, from what I'm being given to understand. It's a beautiful fragrance, totally unisex. I know a lot of guys that love wearing it. I know a lot of ladies that love wearing it. And the lasting power on Black Orchid, you know, forget about it, you know, and considering the fact that it's not a private blend, you know, I think a lot of people would get that initial impression of, oh, this one is perhaps not going to last as long, or there isn't as invested in the DNA of it. That's not true at all. Black Orchid is amazing. And then we also have Oud Wood. Now, oud wood, a lot of people complain about the longevity of this fragrance. So I've had my bottle for over a decade now. It lasts just fine on me. I don't know what to say about that. It's an entry-level oud fragrance composed by Richard Herpin. It's a beautiful fragrance and it's ambery, it's oudy, and it has a smooth, velvety quality about it. So I think this is Taylor Swift's signature scent, if I'm remembering correctly, but it's such a beautiful fragrance. I love Oud Wood by Tom Ford, and it smells so professional. Like if you are ready to conduct business, if you mean business, if you're trying to seal the deal, Oud Wood just smells so professional, yet a bit assertive as well, without smelling aggressive. It smells assertive without smelling aggressive. Now, if you're a fan of some more amicable, genial compositions, something that smells a bit sweeter, and this is the newest interpretation of this line, right? So this is Noir Extreme Parfum. So I do have Noir Anthracite, which I don't think they make anymore. That was a very sort of herbal, spicy fragrance. Not everybody's cup of tea, but I really enjoyed that one. Then there's the original Noir, which is very resinous. And then you have Noir Extreme, which has this kulfi ingredient, and so it kind of has like this vanillic spicy cardamom thing happening in here. This is the parfum version. Historically, parfum fragrances are longer lasting than their non-parfum counterparts. So if you're looking for a nice cold weather fragrance and you like the note of vanilla, check this one out. In the number 3 spot, we have Cafe Rose. I remember this one when it used to be a private blend. It was getting a lot of play. People really enjoyed it, but it was always getting overshadowed by the likes of Tuscan Leather and Oud Wood. So for whatever reason, people were not talking about this one enough. It got taken off the shelves and it was reintroduced in their signature line, which I think is great. One of the longest lasting Tom Ford fragrances, Cafe Rose, absolutely phenomenal. Please check this one out. I purchased this at Ulta, was it? I don't remember. I purchased it at some department store right when I heard it came out, and I'm really glad I did. It activated a lot of nostalgia for me, so I'm really glad that it was able to do that. In the number 2 spot, we have Noir denoir. So here's the thing. I purchased this fragrance, I think, in the winter time. So whenever I smell it, it always puts me in the mindset of this time of the year. I dropped my bottle and I chipped the corner of it. I know you probably can't tell, but it almost cut my hand when I was holding it there. This is a beautiful fragrance. It is patchouli, it is rose, it is chocolatey. The patchouli in here is so, sweet and chocolatey, so delicious. And Noir denoir is an absolute gem for the colder weather. But in the number 1 spot, I really went with this one just because I think this was the first Tom Ford fragrance that I ever purchased. And I remember a long time ago, I had 2 fragrances that I was layering to try to create this fragrance's vibe. And I remember a long time ago, I looked at the price tag and I think at the time it was like $130 for a 50 ml. And even then I was like, oh my God, that price is so elusive and I'm never gonna own it. And I remember layering Pipe Tobacco by Demeter and another vanilla-based fragrance to try to create, Dead Sexy No. 6 by Tokyo Milk. I remember layering those 2 fragrances and pretending that I was wearing Tobacco Vanille. So cat's out of the proverbial bag now. Tobacco Vanille by Tom Ford is such a beautiful fragrance, and it's one of the best Tom Ford fragrances ever released. I know it's not as cloned as something like Tuscan Leather. People are always going after Tuscan Leather when it comes to clones and recreations and alternatives and whatnot. Tobacco Vanille, and yeah, of course, there are other brands that have their version of Tobacco Vanille. I think there's Okja and Dossier and whatever, and I think they do a pretty good job, but this one will always have a special place in my heart. Tobacco Vanille by Tom Ford. In my opinion, the best fall fragrance from Tom Ford. So let me know, what are your fall favorites from this brand? If you have any, drop your comment down below. I always love the interaction. And of course, if you took anything of value from today's episode, I would really appreciate it if you would consider supporting the channel by clicking subscribe, hitting the neighboring bell, and giving this video a thumbs up for the algorithm. It would mean a lot to me. Thanks again for watching. I love you all, and we'll see you tomorrow with a new episode.